I'm child-free. So when my blind date hinted for the third time about popping out a couple of kids in the next 3 years, I snapped. In a fit of anger, I married a guy in a wheelchair. The night we signed the papers, I had just gotten into bed when the bedroom door opened. "What are you doing in here?" The man frowned. "I just don't want kids. It doesn't mean I don't have needs. I don't want to give birth, and he can't stand. We're a match made in heaven. Besides, since he's in a wheelchair, he's probably not, capable. We can sleep in separate rooms after we're married, and neither of us will bother the other." That evening, I was sprawled out on my big bed, legs crossed, video calling my best friend. Hearing this, she looked worried. "But you can't just get married that impulsively. What if you have needs later on?" "I'll just DIY. Those things are way more reliable than a man, anyway. Plus, I sell them for a living. I can use one and then write a product review." With that, I slyly pulled a little gadget out of my drawer. "See this? 3 different modes. It's our top seller right now. I'll get one for you, too. Just in case my brother can't get it up in the future, you'll have a seamless transition." A month ago, my best friend, Sophie, married my brother, Jake. Now she's my sister-in-law. I was just about to give her a demo when the bedroom door suddenly opened. The man in the wheelchair appeared at the door. He was wearing a t-shirt and shorts, seemingly immune to the cold. The muscles in his arms were sleek and defined, and his exposed legs looked solid. What a perfect body. Too bad it was all show and no go. "What are you doing in here?" "Going to sleep with you." His directness made my brain short-circuit for a solid 2 seconds. "But didn't we agree? No kids after we get married." He frowned. "I just don't want kids. It doesn't mean I don't have needs. I met Ryan on a blind date. Except, he was sitting at the table behind me. The man had sharp features and sat with a ramrod straight posture. I was instantly smitten. But a girl with long, flowing hair quickly arrived, apologizing sweetly for being late. Seeing the handsome guy had a girlfriend, I paid them no more attention. I stared at the stray nose hair poking out of my blind date's nostril and forced myself to endure for half an hour before I couldn't take it anymore. Just as I was about to make an excuse to bolt, the woman behind me suddenly raised her voice. "You're saying your leg injury is permanent? It can't be fixed." Juicy gossip. My ears perked up immediately. Her tone was clearly panicked. "But the matchmaker just said your leg was a little bad. She didn't say you were a cripple." "Is that so? Then there might have been a miscommunication." The man's voice was calm and steady. "Because of my physical condition, I don't plan on having children in the future. I'm sorry for wasting your time today." Soon after, the woman grabbed her bag and left in a huff. My own blind date took a sip of coffee, a smug look on his face. "See? Only people with physical defects are okay with not having kids. Honestly, being child-free isn't realistic for you, unless you find a cripple like that, too." What a brilliant idea. Without a moment's hesitation, I walked straight over to the man's table. "Hi, I'm fine with your physical condition. Would you be interested in marrying me?" The man stared at me for 3 seconds, then said, "Okay." I got married. From meeting to signing the papers, it took all of 3 days. So fast I didn't even have time to tell my family. My plan was perfect. Given his condition, being intimate was impossible. We could just live our separate lives. I could satisfy my family and get my freedom. I never, ever expected him to tell me he had needs. Ryan had already used his arms to hoist himself onto the bed next to me. Being at eye level with him, I didn't feel intimidated, but my breathing quickened. Ryan leaned toward me, smelling of orange-scented body wash. My eyelashes fluttered wildly, but after waiting for a long moment, nothing else happened. I peeked open one eye and saw Ryan had stopped, a fist's distance away from me. He suddenly laughed, his voice teasing. "You were pretty bold when you proposed to me." Scared now? So what if I'm a traditional and pure-hearted girl on the inside? Furious and embarrassed, I yanked the blanket over myself. His voice was husky. Don't worry, I won't touch you tonight. I'll give you time to adjust. With that, his large frame moved off me. As he was about to lie down beside me, his elbow accidentally pressed on the toy I had frantically hidden under the covers. What's this? Before I could stop him, the toy was in his hand. The shameless thing wriggled in his palm. My entire face turned crimson. It's a neck massager. I snatched it back and pressed it against my own neck. It works great. Want to try it? So, do you think he's actually capable, or is he just putting up a brave front? The next day, I met up with my bestie, Sophie. I rested my chin on my hands, my face a mask of worry. It's either you can or you can't. What does he mean, give me time to adjust? What is there to adjust to? He probably just feels like you don't know each other well and wants to wait to avoid things being awkward. He didn't hesitate when we signed the papers. What's so awkward about this? Suddenly, a thought struck me. Could he be a Minuteman? He just got married and is too embarrassed to tell me, so he's making excuses to stall. Huh? No way. If that were the case, why would he say that to you? A man's pride, duh. He's trying to create the illusion that he's some kind of stud. If that's true, what are you going to do? Good point. If he was simply incapable, I'd be off the hook from my wifely duties and avoid any trouble. But if he was incapable and pretending he wasn't, it would all come down to his acting skills. Frustrated, I said, I'll observe for a while. If it really doesn't work out, I'll get a divorce. I haven't even told my parents I'm married yet. With this weighing on my mind, I kept looking for a chance to test him. But for days, I barely got a chance to speak with Ryan. Ryan had a proper job, apparently at a government agency he'd gotten into through official exams. He didn't elaborate, and I didn't press. Considering he was in a wheelchair, I figured it was some agency for disability services. He usually worked a 9 to 5, but lately, for some reason, he'd been working overtime constantly. He left early and came back late. I never even saw the guy. I figured he was using a delay tactic to avoid me discovering his 3-second secret. Tonight, I was determined to wait for him. It was nearly midnight when the living room door finally opened. The man looked exhausted. He was surprised to see me on the couch. Still awake? I was about to speak when I noticed a bouquet of roses on his lap. A rare look of awkwardness flickered across Ryan's usually stern face. The guys at the office insisted on buying these for you. They knew I was a newlywed and felt bad for keeping me late. The guys at the office, my foot. More like this guy right here. Forgetting my original purpose, I cleared my throat and took the roses. I hummed to myself, not bad for a guy in a wheelchair. While Ryan was in the shower, I took a picture of the roses. Sophie replied instantly, he got them for you? How romantic. It's a little cliché, but I've decided to forgive him for a little while. Just as I sent the message, the bathroom door opened. I quickly deleted the photo of the roses and pretended to look over casually. One glance, and I was stunned. He wasn't wearing a shirt, revealing broad shoulders and a narrow waist. His upper body formed a near-perfect inverted triangle. It didn't look like something a man with a leg injury could train. What are you looking at? Your injury. I snapped back to reality, grabbing the first excuse I could think of. But that's when my attention shifted to the scar hidden beneath his abs. It was long, stretching from his chest down to his lower abdomen. I couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. How did that happen? Does it hurt? The man looked at me, his expression softening considerably. It's from a long time ago. I don't feel anything. Liar. It must have hurt a lot. Seeing my serious expression, the smile on his face grew wider. He turned and got into bed, his fingers lacing through mine as he pinned my arms above my head. Our foreheads touched. Are you ready today? My breathing grew ragged, and I could feel the blood rushing to my head. The word yes was on the tip of my tongue. But then I remembered the roses Ryan had given me. I didn't want to shatter his pride today. Biting my lip, I shook my head. I'm still a little scared. Can we wait a bit longer? After I said it, I mentally patted myself on the back. I was truly the best wife in the world. Giving my husband a way out and letting him save face. As expected, Ryan quickly let me go. All right. But don't make me wait too long. When I woke up the next day, the person beside me had already left for work. I leisurely turned on my computer and got ready to work myself. I have a degree in psychology and worked as a psychology blogger for a few years. Later, I started my own business, an online shop for women's personal products. Combined with psychological counseling, I've gained a decent following in my niche. Sure enough, there were a few new messages in the shop's inquiry queue. I clicked on the top one. Hi, what are the reasons a wife might be unwilling to engage in intimacy? I get inquiries from female users every day, but this was the first time I'd heard from a husband. Me, what kind of unwillingness are you referring to? User, she says she's scared. I frowned. Aversion to intimacy, ruling out physical factors, is usually psychological. How were your interactions before? Or has she ever been hurt? User, we haven't, I don't know much about her past, so I'm a bit worried. Me, it sounds like you really care about her feelings. My personal guess is that she might have had an unpleasant experience in the past that scared her. User, what should I do then? Me, replace it with happy memories. You can use toys during the process to add some fun, guide her step by step, and soothe her emotions with patience and love. With that, I recommended 7 or 8 different products from my store. He replied quickly, okay. Immediately after, the system showed. Buyer has paid. A big spender. I checked the order information. The name and phone number were hidden by the platform. The address showed he was in the same city as me. To think there's such a devoted romantic near me. I couldn't help but add a word of advice, don't rush this. You don't want her to think you're only with her for sex. Building a sense of security is very important. This time, it took a long while for him to reply. Understood. Thank you. That afternoon, I couldn't stop thinking about it. My advice to that user also seemed to have cleared things up for me. Since I chose Ryan, why was I stressing so much? Even if he couldn't perform, it didn't matter. There's more than one way to have fun. With nothing better to do, I did some searching online. It turned out that men who don't last long were not uncommon. My fellow patients provided a lot of useful tips, positions, supplements, you name it. I grabbed a notebook and jotted some of them down. I planned to try them out when Ryan and I finally had our honest talk. What if they worked? With that worry off my chest, and with Ryan working late, I called up a bunch of friends to go out. I'm not one to sit still, but I had cooped myself up at home for a few days out of respect for my new marriage. Now that I was finally out, I had a few too many drinks before I knew it. As I stumbled out of the bar, my phone buzzed twice. I looked down. It was Ryan. I'm going to be a little late tonight. Don't wait up. Okay. What are you doing? I was too embarrassed to admit I had just been drinking at a bar. I typed back pretentiously, getting ready for bed. Just as I sent it, 2 guys walked over. They were dressed like delinquents and whistled when they saw me. Hey, gorgeous. All alone? What century is this? Do guys with bleached hair still act like this? I ignored them and opened a ride-share app on my phone. One of them actually walked toward me, his reek of alcohol overpowering my own. He put his hand on my shoulder. Hey, little lady, why are you ignoring me? Can't get a ride? How about Big Brother gives you a ride home in his Porsche? A Porsche? I'd consider him rich if he had an electric scooter. I was already annoyed I couldn't get a ride, and this guy wouldn't shut up. I finally lost it. I grabbed his arm and sent him to the ground with a shoulder throw. His buddy saw this, cursed, and charged at me. I kicked out without thinking, and I must have used too much force because he doubled over, clutching his stomach. My brother is in the special forces, and he taught me some self-defense. I couldn't be bothered with them and turned to leave. But the guy on the ground suddenly grabbed my leg. You think you can just hit someone and walk away? And then he called the cops. I never thought a night of drinking would land me at the police station. The officer who handled our case was young, looking like he had just graduated. It was late, and his handsome, capable face wore a distinct, end-of-shift impatience. What happened here? Before the two drunks could speak, I started wailing. Officer, you have to get justice for me. I dramatically recounted how I'd left the bar and been randomly accosted. The drunk guy got agitated. We just wanted to talk to you. Why don't you mention that you hit us? I flatly denied it. You clearly fell on your own. Officer, look at me, a weak, defenseless woman. How could I possibly be a match for them? And now they're trying to frame me. Wah. The young officer's gaze shifted between the three of us. He clearly believed me. He poured me a glass of water, his voice much gentler than before. Here, have some water to calm your nerves. I put on a sweet voice. Thank you. You're truly an officer the people can trust. His comment made the young cop blush, and he was about to say something else. Just then, a figure in a wheelchair came out of the office next door. The young cop's eyes lit up. Our captain's here. He'll definitely get you justice. I looked up, and my jaw dropped. The man in the wheelchair saw me and chuckled. Fell asleep? My brain must have been pickled in alcohol. My usually quick tongue failed me. Can someone please tell me why my wheelchair-bound husband is here? Ryan took the two men away. The young cop took the opportunity to sit with me and chat. My mind was a complete blank, even the alcohol buzz had mostly worn off. I gave him a few half-hearted replies, and soon the door opened. The two guys came out, heads down, and apologized to me to settle the matter. By the time it was all resolved, it was already late. The young officer enthusiastically offered to drive me home. I'm getting off my shift anyway. It's not safe for a woman to go home alone this late. That won't be necessary. I'll take her. But, Captain, don't you have to get a cab yourself? Before he could finish, Ryan shot him a cold glare. The young cop immediately backed down, muttering, I was just worried it'd be out of your way. While we waited for the car, I cleared my throat. I turned to the young cop beside me. Thanks for everything tonight. No problem, no problem. All in a day's work. This is my beat, so feel free to call me if you ever need anything. We even exchanged contact info before I left with Ryan. Ryan had a cold expression on his face the entire way home. I tried to say a few things to lighten the mood, but he didn't respond. Finally, I got annoyed, too. I hadn't even complained about him hiding his profession from me, and he was giving me this silent treatment. I decided to stop trying to appease him and lay on the bed with my back to him, scrolling through my phone. In the end, it was Ryan who gave in. He sighed. Why didn't you call me when you got into trouble? Because I was in a bad mood, my tone wasn't great. What good would that have done? I said sarcastically. Could you have beaten them up for me? The room fell silent. My temples throbbed. I snuck a peek at him. His lips were pressed into a tight line, his usually stern face showing a subtle look of shock. Then he said to me, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Now it was my turn to be embarrassed. I know you didn't mean it. To be honest, I'm angry at myself, too. I wish I could have been like other husbands and rushed over to teach them a lesson. I'm a sucker for kindness, so I quickly said, no, that's not necessary. I'm good at fighting. I can handle myself. Oh, whatever. If it's such a big deal, I'll just try not to go out anymore, okay? He took a deep breath. I don't want to control your drinking or your social life. I just hope you can let me know beforehand when you go out drinking. I may not be able to do much, but at least I can make sure my wife is safe." I nodded vigorously. He continued, "As for why I didn't tell you my profession, on one hand, you never really asked. On the other, I've already submitted a transfer request to my superiors. The approval hasn't come through yet, so I didn't mention it." I was stunned. "You're transferring? Why?" "My body isn't suited for active duty anymore." That single sentence silenced me. After a long pause, I asked, "Were you injured on the job?" "Yes, during a mission." "Of course." My breathing suddenly hitched as bad memories flooded back. A year ago, my brother was injured during a mission. I still remember when our family got the notice and rushed to the hospital. The tall, strong man was covered in blood, lying on a cold bed, seemingly breathless. They were in surgery for over 10 hours. He survived, but the price was permanent damage to his reproductive system. He could never have his own children. As I was lost in thought, Ryan spoke again. "Actually, there's something I wanted to ask you, too. Did you have an unpleasant experience with that in the past?" "That?" I thought for a moment, assuming he was still talking about the same topic. So I nodded. "I have. It scared me." His expression changed instantly, a sharp look flashing in his eyes. "Who was it?" "My brother." Feeling that wasn't dramatic enough, I added, "My own brother." Ryan pulled me into a tight hug, his arms squeezing me. "You've been through so much. So is that why you married me so quickly? To escape your family?" "Not exactly. My brother was already married and had moved out with Sophie long ago. I chose to marry Ryan so quickly because it was love at first sight. But I was too embarrassed to admit it, so I mumbled, something like that." After a long moment, Ryan leaned over and kissed my forehead. "I understand. Don't worry, I will never force you. I'll always be by your side." After that day, I actually got to know the young cop pretty well. We'd even chat online from time to time. His name was Chris, a recent college grad. He was enthusiastic and very talkative. He was a goldmine of information about Ryan. That's how I found out that Ryan's leg could potentially be treated. It's just a low probability of success, but it's not completely impossible. But our Captain Ryan is just too stubborn. He refuses to go. You don't know, Captain Ryan is a legendary badass. The guy who took down a drug den single-handedly. After something like this happened, plus his girlfriend breaking up with him right after, he probably just gave up on himself. Wait a minute. Ex-girlfriend? How did I not know he had an ex-girlfriend? Mistaking my interest, Chris couldn't stop himself. He dished all the dirt. Actually, it wasn't that the girl didn't want to be with him. It was her family that disapproved. It's understandable, I guess. Who would want their daughter to marry someone with a physical disability? We were all there the day they broke up. Man, that girl cried so hard it broke all our hearts. No wonder he married me in a flash. He was heartbroken. I was in a bad mood for days, and I wasn't very nice to Ryan either. That weekend, Ryan's squad was having a get-together. He invited me to come along. I refused. What am I going to do hanging out with a bunch of guys? Besides, my body's not up for it. It's not convenient for me to be at a drinking party. In the end, I couldn't help myself and went anyway. As I got to the door, I heard Chris's loud voice booming. "Guys, I have good news. I think I might be getting a girlfriend soon." My ears perked up immediately. I love gossip. Before I could push the door open, I heard him continue. "It's this beautiful woman I met when I was on duty the other night. We've chatted a few times since, and she's been asking me a lot of questions. I think she's into me." Hold on. The beautiful woman he's talking about couldn't be me, could it? The man next to me's face darkened. He let out a cold laugh and pushed the door open. Captain, you're here. Hey, Chloe. What are you doing here? Did you come to see me? Ryan sneered. Allow me to introduce you. This is my wife. Ryan led me to a seat. What were you all just talking about? You seem so happy. The guy sitting next to Chris couldn't help but burst out laughing. Oh, he said. Just talking about marriage, love, and wishful thinking. Over the course of the dinner, I realized I'd been had. Ryan was the captain, and on top of that, he was injured. Who would dare pressure him to drink? Instead, it was me. I got carried away chatting with his teammates and ended up drunk again. Leaving the restaurant, I stumbled. Ryan frowned. Drunk? Says who? I can hold my liquor. With that, I plopped down on the ground. Seeing his cold stare, I felt my pride sting. I scrambled up from the ground. You get out. I'm dizzy, I can't walk. You get out, let me sit for a bit. The scene fell into a weird silence. The alcohol had numbed my senses. Everyone was worried their captain was about to lose it. Chris was even about to step in and smooth things over for me. But in the next second, under the watchful eyes of this group of police officers, their idol, the legendary captain of criminal investigation once known for his brilliant mind, slowly pushed himself up and moved himself out of the wheelchair. The wheelchair must have been custom-made. Not only was it comfortable, but it was also incredibly agile. It was fast. I zoomed off, with Ryan calling after me, slow down. Got it. Behind us, someone couldn't help but whisper. His wife seems nice. She doesn't seem to mind the captain's condition at all. She doesn't treat him like he's disabled. Then, someone else added, but it also seems like she doesn't really treat him like a person either. The group fell silent again. My place wasn't far. Ryan refused everyone's offers to drive us. He had me sit on his lap and slowly pushed us home. Resting against Ryan's chest, I finally quieted down. Have you been unhappy lately? The man suddenly asked. Nope. Ryan frowned, his hands stopping their movement on the wheelchair. Chloe, I'm not great with emotional intelligence, and I can be pretty dense when it comes to feelings. If I'm doing something wrong, you need to tell me directly. Otherwise, it's hard for me to guess. Hearing this, I finally asked hesitantly, I heard you have an ex-girlfriend? Chris told you? No way I was going to sell out my buddy. I huffed, it doesn't matter who told me. I did. We met on a blind date. So you two were star-crossed lovers? TSK. A modern-day Romeo and Juliet. Did Chris tell you that, too? I told you, it doesn't matter. Ryan scoffed. He's wasting his talent as a cop. He should be writing novels. Ryan rubbed his temples. It wasn't that dramatic, but it's true her family disapproved. We hadn't known each other long, and I was always away on missions, so we barely saw each other. So, did that have anything to do with you marrying me in a flash? Of course not. Then why did you marry me so quickly? He pursed his lips, asking a question instead of answering. What about you? Because you're handsome, duh. The smile on Ryan's face widened. He hummed in agreement. I pressed him, you still haven't answered my question. I'll tell you when you're sober. Once I was in bed, I still felt dizzy. Maybe it was the atmosphere, or maybe the alcohol gave me a wicked idea. I rolled over and sat right on top of Ryan. He immediately let out a muffled groan. You had an ex-girlfriend and didn't tell me. Don't you think you deserve to be punished? And how do you plan on punishing me? I giggled devilishly, my mischievous hands boldly exploring downwards. Suddenly, I felt a pulse throbbing in my palm. Below me, Ryan's face grew redder and redder. I grinned triumphantly. Beg me, and I'll stop. Baby, I'm begging you. I magnanimously climbed off him, only to be flipped over and pinned down by him in the next instant. Ryan's legs might not be nimble, but his body's reflexes were still sharp. I chickened out. I'm sorry, I was wrong. But Ryan didn't let me go. He mimicked my earlier move and reached inside. Before falling asleep, I had one thought. AI will never replace humans. The next day, I was checking my orders. I suddenly remembered the user from the other day. I clicked open the chat window to check in. Hello, how have things been with you and your wife recently? Okay. She's not as resistant to my advances anymore. That's great. I'm sure with a little patience, your relationship will become even more harmonious. Thanks. By the way, the products you purchased are being prepared for shipment. Please be patient, they will be sent out in the next couple of days. Okay. Just as I sent that, my phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID. It was my mom. After my brother got married, my mom took my niece, Lily, on a trip for the summer. Lily is my best friend's daughter. But it was only recently that we found out Lily's father is my own brother. Now that they've been reunited, they've naturally gotten together. My mom said she wanted to give the young couple some space. In reality, she was trying to make up for the 5 years she missed out on being a proper grandmother. Anyway, why was she suddenly thinking of me today? As soon as I answered, my mom's whirlwind voice came through the phone. Chloe, your aunt set you up with someone else. You should go meet him when you have time. Not going. I'm married. My mom was dismissive. Is it Ryan Reynolds this time, or Chris Evans? Neither. I'm really married. Fine. I'll believe you when you bring him home for me to see. If you don't, you're going on that date. Then she hung up. I was so mad I was about to call Ryan and tell him to come home with me. But then I picked up my phone and hesitated. What if my mom looked down on Ryan because of his condition and said something awful? Would Ryan be hurt? I never used to care about things like that. But now I found myself actually caring about Ryan's feelings. So, I sent a text to my best friend first. Sophie gave me an idea. Why don't you introduce him to your brother first? Jake can put in a good word with mom beforehand. Forget it. My brother's temper is worse than my mom's. If he found out I got married without telling anyone, he'd kill me. Then don't say you're married yet. Just say you're dating. Ryan's situation is pretty similar to your brother's, they should be able to understand each other. With no better options, I had to go with that. I kept meaning to arrange a time with Ryan. But I noticed he'd been acting very strange lately. He used to rarely look at his phone, but now he was glued to it, texting someone all day. One night, I woke up and saw him hiding on the balcony, on the phone. When he saw I'd caught him, he claimed it was a scam call. He's the scammer. With all this going on, I completely forgot to tell him my brother was coming. It wasn't until my brother actually showed up that I remembered. I was just about to call Ryan and ask when he'd be off work when I saw a man and a woman in a heated discussion at the entrance to our apartment complex. The man was in a wheelchair, his face cold and distant. The woman was half kneeling in front of him, her eyes red. If the man hadn't looked so familiar, would have definitely stuck around to watch the drama unfold. Is that your guy? So you brought me here to fight your battles for you? The unexpected scene left my mind a complete blank. I had no idea what to say. But in the next instant, my brother walked straight over to them. Can't you stay out of trouble even in a wheelchair? Do all 3 of your legs need to be broken before you'll learn? Who are you? I'm Chloe's brother. And I'm about to be the guy who cripples you for good. Her own brother? I wasn't looking for you, but you came looking for me. To be honest, I didn't even see who threw the first punch. By the time I registered what was happening, the 2 of them were already tangled up. I thought Ryan was sure to lose. But surprisingly, while Ryan's lower body was immobile, his upper body was incredibly agile. He quickly slid out of his wheelchair and grabbed my brother's collar with one hand. With a powerful tug, he landed a punch. Of course, my brother was no slouch either and immediately fought back. It was like watching two masters duel. I didn't say anything, but the girl next to me was terrified. Stop it. If you don't stop, I'm calling the police. I reminded her, Ryan is the police. The woman looked like she'd just woken up. Right. This is assaulting an officer. You could go to jail for that. In the end, Ryan's condition got the better of him, and he soon ran out of steam. Jake probably felt it was unsportsmanlike to continue and backed off. The woman rushed to his side, trying to help him up. Ryan shrugged her off. I already made things clear to you before. I'm married. Your sudden appearance is disrupting my life. Please don't contact me again. The girl looked at me, a surprised expression on her face. But she doesn't even care about you. You were getting beaten up, and she just stood there. Ryan was impatient. And what does that have to do with you? The girl's eyes turned red again, and she turned and walked away. After she left, my brother's expression softened slightly. I walked over and helped Ryan up. Ryan explained in a low voice. I honestly don't know why she suddenly showed up. I deleted her contact a long time ago. Who'd believe that? Don't think I haven't noticed you secretly texting and making calls behind my back. You noticed? Ryan blushed slightly. Actually, I've been contacting a doctor. What? He cleared his throat. Chris probably told you that there's a chance my leg can heal. I didn't care much before, but I've decided to at least get a consultation. That's great news. Why were you hiding it from me? I was afraid the outcome wouldn't be good, and I'd disappoint you. I wanted to ask more, but with my brother there, it wasn't the right time. So I made the introductions. This is my brother, Jake. This is my boyfriend, Ryan. My brother nodded and asked casually, I hear you're a cop. Where did you graduate from? Ryan named his police academy. My brother nodded. I know it. I was an instructor there once. Ryan was slightly surprised. You were in the military? Yeah. Then how could you do something like that? Like what? Ryan glanced at me, then said after a moment of hesitation, forcing yourself on Chloe. Pfft. I spat out a mouthful of water. My brother, the tough-as-nails soldier who didn't flinch in the face of live ammunition, looked like he was about to spontaneously combust from sheer rage. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. You have a filthy mind. Looks like I didn't beat you enough. He lunged forward again, but I stopped him. Wait, let him explain. And that's when I found out. Our conversation that day had gone completely off the rails, and he had misunderstood everything. I quickly clarified, I meant that my brother was also injured, not that. Ryan was stunned. Then why did you reject me? Why does this guy say everything out loud? With my brother there, I was afraid of hurting his pride and couldn't just say it directly. I mumbled noncommittally, but my brother spoke up. Whatever the reason, break up. I don't approve of you too. I got anxious. Why? He's not smart. You didn't know you had a kid for 4 years. You're not so smart either. He's not sharp. You started doing jumping jacks in place when you found out Lily was your daughter. That wasn't very sharp either. A vein throbbed in my brother's temple. Chloe, whose side are you on? Are you looking for a beating? I had nothing left to lose. Ryan and I are already married. My brother was silent for a moment, then suddenly laughed, though not from humor. I was used to bickering with Jake, but his sudden laugh actually scared me a little. I wrung my hands. Bro, I didn't mean to hide it from you. Ryan looked at Jake. Can I talk to you alone? My brother pressed his lips together and strode into the bedroom first. Before going in, Ryan squeezed my hand and said, Don't worry. The door closed, and it finally hit me. I frantically dialed my best friend's number. I'm screwed. I think I just made everything a million times worse. By the time Sophie arrived, the two of them still hadn't come out. My bestie comforted me for a while before the study door finally opened. I snuck a glance at my brother. He looked much better than before. Seeing his wife, he snorted. "Is this the cavalry you called in?" I didn't say a word. Sophie immediately stepped up. "Yes. I knew about Chloe's marriage, and I'm the one who didn't tell you. If you're going to blame someone, blame me." Sniffle. I hugged Sophie. She was truly the best friend a girl could ask for. Jake reached out and pinched Sophie's cheek. "So your best friend is more important than your husband, huh?" He sighed and looked at me. "You can tell Mom and Dad about the marriage yourself. Then you can bring him home and apologize. Don't expect me to help you." Does that mean he's not mad anymore? After my brother left, I was completely amazed. "How did you convince him?" Ryan didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out a notebook from behind his back. "We'll get to that later. Why don't you explain this to me first, wife?" The familiar notebook made my face change color. In his hand was the collection of gems I had haphazardly copied from the internet. "It's nothing, don't look." I reached for it, but Ryan seized the opportunity to pull me onto the wheelchair with him. He held me tight and began to read aloud. "These positions will help your husband say goodbye to being a Minuteman. Can't get it up? Don't worry, this food will help you regain your confidence. I can see you've put a lot of thought into this for my sake." Even for someone as shameless as me, I was so embarrassed I could have dug a hole to the center of the earth. I snatched the notebook back and clutched it to my chest. It's not for you. Don't look." "So that's why you've been acting so weird every night." It was because of this? Well, the cat was out of the bag. I had nothing left to hide. "Actually, I've been meaning to tell you for a while. I don't care how long you last." My face was beet red. I'm willing to try with you." A few hours later. I was paying the price for my own kindness. "Ryan, are you insane? I don't want any more. Get off of me." Almost there, almost there. "Just hold on a little longer." Ryan's voice was a perfunctory comfort. "Didn't you say you were willing to face it with me, no matter how long it took? Is that what I freaking meant? You also said you were willing to try more with me. This is only the first one. I'll rip it up. I'll rip up the notebook right now. Is that what you want?" When I woke up again, it was already noon the next day. I went to my storage space, packed up all the orders in a frenzy, and sent them out. Since it was a local delivery, it should arrive soon. That evening, Ryan and I had plans for dinner. "What did you buy?" Ryan gave me a mysterious look, his voice hoarse. "A present for you." 10 minutes later. When the delivery guy handed me the familiar box that I had packed with my own hands, I was completely stunned. Like a movie in slow motion, all the previous events flashed through my mind. No wonder he misunderstood and thought I had some kind of emotional trauma. The clown was me all along. I slowly turned to look at the man in the wheelchair, who was pretending to be perfectly serious. The truth was on the tip of my tongue, but I swallowed it back down. Whatever. I'll play dumb and act all pitiful. Let him have this one. But that night, as I was being tormented to the point of tears, I made a firm decision. The very next day, I was ordering all the handcuffs, wax, and little whips from my store and shipping them straight to him. 1 month later. Ryan was getting ready for surgery. Before that, he came home with me to meet my parents. Even though my tough on the outside, soft on the inside brother had already given them a heads up, my dad still couldn't help but pull a long face about our act first, report later behavior. This was the first time I'd ever seen Ryan so humble. He approached them and took a stack of files out of his bag. "Sir, ma'am, this is my personal information. It includes my official records, degree certificates, and personal identification. Below that is proof of my assets, including my personal property. I currently own 3 properties. My parents live in one, and the other 2 have already been voluntarily gifted to Chloe. I was completely floored. He had never told me about any of this. This move even threw my parents off. That's not what we meant. I know you don't care about these things, but this is the most sincere gesture I can think of right now. The man's back was ramrod straight as he continued. Although Chloe and I got married hastily, I actually met her 6 or 7 years ago. I was an intern at the local precinct, and Chloe was a college student there. One of her classmates had their phone stolen, and she heroically chased the thief for half a mile until he ran out of breath and surrendered. Ryan's voice was tinged with a smile. I was deeply impressed by Chloe back then, but unfortunately, we never had a chance to connect. I never expected to meet her again after so many years. I can't think of any other reason for it but fate. His speech even moved my mom. Fate, isn't it all just fate? On the day of the surgery, everyone was there. Just as Ryan said, the surgery success rate was low, only around 20%. If the surgery failed, it meant Ryan might truly spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Waiting outside the operating room, I was a nervous wreck. Next to me, our 4 parents were sitting with their legs crossed, heatedly, discussing the wedding. They were as relaxed as if they were sitting on their own living room couch. By the end of it, I was a little bewildered. I couldn't help but say, maybe you should wait until after the surgery is over? Well, we're just sitting around anyway. We should plan the wedding ahead of time. Ryan's mom waved her hand and pulled me over. You relax, too. If the surgery fails, he'll just be in a wheelchair. He's already in a wheelchair now, so what's the difference? I told Ryan before, this surgery is like buying a lottery ticket. If you win, everyone's happy. If you don't, you just lose the cost of the ticket. Life goes on just the same. You know what they say, the elderly have a certain wisdom about life. Her words made everything click into place for me. A few hours later, the operating room doors opened. The doctor smiled at me. The weight on my heart finally lifted. The wedding was held on a tropical island. Lily was roped into being my flower girl. The little one was wearing a white tulle dress, looking as beautiful as an angel. My father took my hand and walked me to the center of the stage. At the other end, with my brother's help, Ryan painstakingly stood up from his wheelchair. Then he took a step, and another, walking towards me. His pace was very, very slow. You could see that every single step was a struggle. But the venue was completely silent. Not a single person rushed him. I could hear countless sobs from the audience. Even my own eyes were wet. Ryan had been in physical therapy since the surgery. The doctor said recovery would be a long process. So for today, we had planned for him to remain in his wheelchair. I had no idea he would be able to walk on his own. I couldn't even imagine how much effort that must have taken. By the time he took my hand, beads of sweat had formed on his forehead. He took a moment to catch his breath before speaking to me. I'm not as strong as you think I am. After I was injured, I thought about giving up. To me, a wheelchair and a crutch were the same thing. I was just useless. But I thank God for letting me meet you. You are the one who gave me the confidence and courage to stand up again. He took a deep breath and said to me, I walked to you because I wanted to tell you that I love you.